Please feel very, very welcome to our webinar, the ALPTREES in Naturalist Train the Trainer webinar, where we want to give you the opportunity to exchange experiences on the eNaturalist app, but also to learn a little bit how ALPTREES is using eNaturalist, what are our activities in regard to citizen science within our ALPTREES project. So let me introduce myself quickly. I am Katarina Lapin. I am the head of the Institute for Forest Biodiversity and Nature Conservation at the Austrian Forest Research Center here in Vienna, and I'm leading the ALPTREES project with a fantastic team, I have to say, with partners from all over the alpine space. And we are 12 partners, and together we have put together this program for you today, where we try to show you how we are using eNaturalist, and we also have a very advanced user of eNaturalist here with us, who will give you some insights on the challenges and the usability of the app, and show us what everything is possible with it. So our project, the ALPTREES project, is all about non-native trees. We want to know where they grow, how they are used, how they are managed. We want to facilitate in our project a knowledge exchange on non-native tree species in the alpine space, because we think they have a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of risks. And our project is all about exchanging interests and also experiences on those non-native tree species. So why are we using citizen science? We also want to know where these non-native tree species grow, and not only in forests, but also in urban areas. And here we have started a citizen science activity to invite everybody to join us to make observations on non-native tree species, so that we can then draw from this data set a larger amount of information on where non-native tree species are to find in the alpine space. So this was just a very quick overview, but now I think others can explain this with much more details in their talks. And the first speaker of this webinar is Dimitri Shabachenko. He is from BIASA, a research institute also in Austria, in Lower Austria, and he will show us why we are using citizen science data or the eNaturalist data in this project, and what we want to do with it. Dimitri, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Katerina. Good afternoon, everyone. Very welcome from my side as well. I'm Dimitri Shabachenko, forester by training. I'm working in Austria in the International Institute for Applied System Analysis, and I will give you some ideas why we are here and why we are going to use citizen science approach in our project. We are rather small, but very a nice team in ALPTREES project, working in different countries, Italy, France, Slovenia, Germany, Austria, and also representing different areas from research institute, universities, and municipalities. So from who just investigated this area to whom make some efforts on the ground to implement strategies and so on. The project itself, ALPTREES, aims to collect information about non-native tree species in alpine region. Because there is a lot of information, but it's kind of here and there, but we would like to have it in one place all together, integrated. Then we are going to look at the climate change and the future projection, how we are going to manage non-native tree species, and how climate change would affect us, and provide this knowledge and our ideas for decision support to policymakers and to practitioners how to manage non-native tree species. Uh, why do we need citizen science and crowdsourcing at all? Of course, there are some traditional sources of information in forest. There is a forest inventory. In Austria, for example, there are 11,000 permanent plots which regularly investigated and checked, but it's not that much. They are quite scarce, and there are a lot of going on in between of these sample plots. There are also city tree cadastre. You might saw labels on the trees with the numbers. So kind of inventory of every tree in some cities. But again, if all this information mostly represent public areas, but what is going on in private areas or in the interface between city and surrounding areas, we don't know much. Also, yeah, that's why we need also interested people to complement this information, existing information. Also very important to share knowledge and sorry and raise awarenesses. Some people just very conservative and afraid of any strangers and any non-native tree species in surrounding other people like very much something new and globalist approach and take the best available from the globe, but maybe some wise decision somewhere in between. We can make best use of some non-native tree species, but still keep our nature protected. For example, if we would use fast-growing species, we can supply all our demand for the wood and also save some area for conservation. So it could be a balanced approach when we can find the best way between conservation of nature and keep supply our demand on products, forest products. Also, a very important component is co-design with people, with citizens, our management activities. Without your support, it's not possible. Implementation and also decision. We decided to select iNaturalist platform, which is both mobile and web platform to collect information about non-native species. There are lots of pro to use this platform. It's outdoor activity. It's already lots of observation collected, lots of information already there. People are aware about this platform, and data is easy downloadable and free to use. Target group which we are after and we would like to involve is a student and teachers in the school because it's also a nice way to teach biology and share knowledge in the game form. And also this is a self-organizing platform, so teacher don't need to share everything to the students. They kind of learn themselves from each other as well. We also would like to involve municipalities, public companies who manage green areas, maybe even touristic companies. They can give a task for during hiking. You can do some also work useful for us and of course general public. Any interested person can can be involved. Task can be different. You can just on your way, I don't know, to the shop, or when you go hiking to see something interesting, you can make a photo. For, like I do, working with my dog, do quite a bit of work for a naturalist. But please don't make a photo of pets, because it's not considered like a nature. Also, we can do systematic survey on of certain street or parks or certain suburb of a city. You can look at your garden or private area to check what is going on there, and you can also check your archive, photo archive, see if something interesting, useful over there. If you search in the internet ALPTREES and iNaturalist, you will find our project over there. There is some information and quite a bit of information already there. So we are after about 300 non-native tree species in the Alps. Already collected about 20,000 observations and about 6,000, over 6,000 people contributed to this work. You can see a leaderboard here who did the most work, which species the most represented, and so on, quite a bit of information. You can see our region we are after. This is Alps, and the more dark color here, the more non-native tree species presented. And a few words how we're going to use afterwards this information which collected. Here we just grab one species, Norway spruce, just usual spruce you can see, which is native for the Alps, but it also growing in America and in Eurasia quite wide. We take this information, overlay with climate information, and then make some climate orientation. What temperature Norway spruce prefer, what is the precipitation it likes, and so on, and soil information. Then we managed to make a map for the Alps where spruce prefer to grow, where it feels the best. So basically everywhere, despite of high mountains. We did a similar work for different species. Here you can see 3 columns, one Norway spruce, native species, and 2 American species, Douglas fir and black locust. And in the first row, you can see current climate, how the species like current climate, how they distributed. And the second row, bottom row, you can see climate for the end of the century. You can see that Norway spruce disappear from many will disappear from many spaces expected, despite of maybe a mountain area. Douglas fir also feels pretty bad, will feel pretty bad at the end of the century. Only black locust can more or less survive and even expand its location. This is one way of use data we are going to collect, and then use and provide this information for practitioner and policymakers, because trees are growing quite slow. So if you plant trees now, they will grow still by the end of the century. So we need to consider all this information already now. So I stop here. And you will learn more details from our other presenters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimitri, for showing the frame of how we aim to use the iNaturalist in the ALPTREES project. Thank you very much. And I want to invite also our participants to take the chance to ask us questions or put something into discussion after the next talk. We will have some time to discuss certain topics which are on your mind, something you want to ask. So I'm very happy that our next speaker is an invited speaker. He's a very advanced and experienced user of eNaturalist and also a PhD of the University of Vienna. Lauren Timeos is here with us, and he will present now how eNaturalist actually works and what is all possible with this app. So Lauren, thank you for joining us to this webinar, and I will share your presentation and we will, let me see if you see the presentation now. Is all good?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So the floor is yours.
Welcome everybody. Thanks, Katharina, for the introduction. Yeah, so I'm also based in Vienna, but I'm not part of the Interact team. So I'm since 2017 I turned into an avid iNet user, and I have the aim to show the teaching potential of the platform for other users. And yeah, so first, what is iNaturalist? So it's an observation platform, and it describes itself as an online social network of people where biodiversity information is shared, and also an important part where one helps each other to learn about nature. So to break it down to one slogan, it is to connect people with nature at the primary goal, but the administrators also mentioned the secondary goal, that is to generate scientifically valuable biodiversity data, and I will cover both of these aspects today. So at the top, you will see that iNaturalist is supported by the California Academy of Sciences and also National Geographic. So the core team of iNaturalist consists of, I think, 6 persons right now. But there is, of course, the community in the background, which also is a very important part of it. So to give you an overview, on the following slides, I will show you some features of the app and also on the website. So the first part will cover how to enter observations, and the second part is then like what to do, what can be done with these data gained. So let me first show you the app. It's the app itself. Please go further. So the app itself is quite easy to use. And so you can basically go out with your smartphone in the field, take photos within the app of an interesting organism, and then you have some data fields. Some should already be pre-filled, for example, the date when this observation is taken. And also when you have GPS activated, it should find the location, but it's always worth a second check to see if the location is correct. And you see also at the top under details, it says there's an icon with a plus button. So it's especially for plants which don't run away. It's recommended to make different photos from different angles in different parts of the plant to improve the identification. So you can combine several photos in one observation. So underlined here, I did an important part, that is, what did you see? Of course, you can enter an observation. And when you click on this, you will go to the right side where it says manual entry. When you know what kind of plant or animal you have seen, then you can enter it. But also you can use the power of the computer algorithm. And this computer vision gets better and better over time because it's learning with more and more data entered. So it, especially for plants, it is already quite good to make reasonable suggestions. Here, for example, it is suggesting the genus of the plant and also at the top suggesting the species, and both suggestions are correct. But of course, you should handle this with care, and especially for insects, it's often way off. But yeah, the second part then I will cover on the next slide is that even if an identification might be wrong, you have then the other members of the community which will either confirm or correct these observations. And here you will see, you are seeing that 2 other persons joined in and confirmed this observation. You can, in principle, also use the website. So, for example, when you went out with the camera, you can also upload a photo. So on the next slide, you will see that it's quite easy to just take your JPEG file and just drag and drop it in the upload field, and these files then also will get entered on the platform. But for example, then usually you have to enter the location where you saw it yourself. Yeah, so this sums up the first part, the first steps how to enter an observation, and then the second part is now what to do with these observation data. And iNaturalist is quite neat to with visualizations. So you have a huge opportunity to filter for certain aspects and to have it the photos and observations displayed as a more or less digital photo album or also diary on this platform. And for example, you can see like where one user made all the observations. You can filter for a certain country or other region. You can narrow your search for certain species of interest, and also only certain time windows when observations were made. And I would have shown you a video right now, but this doesn't work, but I can tell you about it. So at the end of the year, you get also the opportunity to basically go back and see where in the world you all went. So it looks like this when you click further. You will see green spots like all over the continent, like where you have been, and this will progress in time, which is quite a neat visualization to basically look back on where you've been in that year. So let me show you how the start page of the platform looks like. And so the platform itself was founded in 2008. It was a master project at the University of Berkeley in California, and the growth was and still is exponentially. You see right now, so these are the numbers from yesterday. You see that more than 62 million observations have been made, and almost 3,300 species have been covered, with 1.5 million observers contributing. And when you compare those numbers to those which were gathered 1 year ago, you will see that this is only that these numbers have already doubled in terms of observation, and also in terms of observers. So Katharina, would you click next? So here you see the comparison between April 2021 and April 2020. You see the huge gain in numbers already within 1 year. And so, as I mentioned before, you have other users of the platform which can correct or confirm your observation. And when there is a consensus on a species from more than one observer, then your observation will gain research grade. And so there is some internal quality check. And this research grade label also has a second very important, meaning because those data then will be forwarded by the platform to a global biodiversity database, the GBIF. And yeah, so how does this GBIF look like or function? So on the next slide, you will see some features of it. So it describes itself as a free and open access to biodiversity data. So every researcher or naturalist interested in protection of environment can access those data and use them for our own publications. And yeah, many museums or university collections or other observation platforms are transmitted to this site. And right now there are more than 1.6 billion single records on this site. And out of this, 5,700 peer-reviewed publications have so far been possible. And in the middle, you will see the iNaturalist observations and the numbers for this. So from these more than 60 million observations, right now there are 26 million in this database, of course, only those which have research grade, and more than 1,000 publications have been made by this database. Maybe some more because not everyone was citing then the GBIF database. So I think there's even more in the background happening. And there you see there are also other platforms like BirdLife or bird ringing stations, which also transmit their data. Okay, and here are some examples of papers that have been published, and you see that yeah. Especially in cities, it's a quite neat tool because researchers struggle to gain access to parts of the city where which is on a private ground. So it's not easy to access those. But with the citizens contributing to this data, it's much easier to get these data and get some meaning in it. And there's also a nice description of how citizen science can be combined with already existing museum data to make the database even stronger and more significant. And yeah, there are some more publications shown on the next slide, just to show you the diversity of possibilities that offers such a platform. And so, as I mentioned before, INET has really a nice way to visualize observations and filter observations. So not only can you look at distribution data from one species, but you can also compare several species here. For example, the two most common corvids in Europe, and the hooded crow and the carrion crow, and the distribution of those species or subspecies, and also the hybrid area which runs through Vienna, for example, and also part of the Alps. So distribution map is one part, and then there are also annotations. So you can contribute not only with just entering observations and thus contribute to distribution data, but you can also make further annotations, for example, to describe phenological phenomena, like in plants, the flowering date, the fruiting status, and in insects, for example, the developmental stage, and also the gender, if it's a male or a female. And you see, for example, in the horse chestnut, this nice peak of flowering in spring, but also then there's a second peak in autumn. And similar for the cricket, you have first in the year the nymphs, then the adults, and then again the second part of the year the nymphs of the subsequent generation. And as you might imagine, these data offer also possibilities to follow through time and maybe discover some shifts in these phenological data due to climate change or other reasons. And both the app and the website offer to enter these annotations. So one click further, you will see how this looks like in the app. You can, for example, for this plant, you can enter flowering or fruiting status, and for the cricket, the different developmental stages. Yeah, so this is one part, but the best part for me, I would say, is the possibility to create or participate in projects. So for example, we have collection projects where data are automatically collected. So everybody can make his or her own project by defining a certain area. For example, this is a university area in Vienna, and all the observations made in this area then are automatically included in this project. But then there are also other, some are funny, like where do you see human faces in plants or animals? Of course, these observations you have to add manually because no computer algorithm might be able to recognize these. But then there are also like scientifically more reasonable projects, like for example, evaluation of the Australian bushfires and how nature fights its way back. And also in Austria, there is a project of longhorn beetles, which are hopefully soon to be published in form of a book. And so this last project, the longhorn beetles, they will in the next slide I will show you some examples on what parameters you can also choose from. So for this project, it makes sense to, of course, only restrict it to this family longhorn beetles. But for example, when you have an ALPTREES project where you want to follow the distribution of non-native trees, you can also make a long list of different tree species, which all then should be included in this project. You can limit your area to a certain city or state, and for example, for schools, you can also add users so that only certain people are able to make additions to this project. And you can also switch on that only, for example, native or introduced species are entered in this project. And then there is a different kind of project, which is called BioBlitz. And you can define a time window when it should start and when it should stop. And also you can combine different projects to one umbrella project. So the University of Graz is a front runner in this aspect, as it is using projects for biology students for some years now, and there are different courses, and the results of these courses then all can be combined in one umbrella project. And so I'm coming to the end of my talk, and I want to show you now the great possibility to combine those two kinds of projects. So you can combine BioBlitz, that means an event taken only place on a certain time window in the year, and to combine these with different projects all over the world. And this will be the largest biodiversity event taking place, and this is now only 1 week away from us. So what's this called? You might have heard it already in the introduction. This is called the City Nature Challenge. And on the next slide, you will see all the participating countries on the world. There are more than 400 cities and areas in the world taking place. And when you zoom in to the Alpine region in the map, there are also some participants in Austria and Italy, and hopefully next year also France, Switzerland, and Slovenia will join. And so the last year's result in 2020, where 244 cities took part, there were more than 800,000 observations were made. So maybe we will break the 1 million observations this year. So yeah, this is the end of this part. So hopefully some people of you will be able to contribute next week. And there are also, if you because I can only cover so much in this talk, there are a lot of sources to get more information. There are help pages, and these are linked here. And there's also a forum where you can engage yourself or search for topics if they are already covered, and also ask questions. Also, there's also an educator subforum if you want to, if you are interested in doing such kind of project for your school or university. And yeah, last point I want to mention, the registration for next year's City Nature Challenge 2022 is already open. So if you think you want to organize it yourself, or you want to maybe go to your local institution, environmental institution, museum, or other institution, yeah, just forward them the link and ask them if they want to participate in the next year's. And yeah, no obligations come along with it, so you can just register yourself and see if this is something for you. Okay, maybe I can already start to answer question.
Exactly, Lauren. Thank you very, very much for this wonderful and very easy to follow description of Naturalist. And I think everybody of us really wants to use it now. I think there is also some time for questions. Please write your questions in the chat, and Lauren will try to answer it. While he's trying to answer the questions, we have also a question for you. We want to know where the participants of this webinar are coming from. So we have a poll which will be open now to answer. I hope you can see it. If you feel like clicking and telling us from which region in the Alpine space or outside of Alpine space you are, let us know. And Lauren, feel free to pick one of those many questions and answer any of it. You want me to read it, or are you fine?
So I think one very important aspect is also the protection of first personal data, but also of, for example, endangered species. For privacy issues, you can make your own observations obscured. It's roughly a 2 kilometer square where the exact location is only visible for yourself or certain people you can trust. But for the general public, it will be a random point in this circle. Or you can also make just a circle yourself around this observation and to obscure the exact position where it has been found. There's also an automatic obscuring of species which are on the red list with some status of endangerment, so those species are automatically protected.
Thank you very much for answering some questions. And you can see the poll shows that most of our participants of this webinar are from Austria, followed by Italy, Slovenia, France, and some also outside of the Alpine space. Thank you very, very much for participating in this poll. Are there some more questions for Lauren? If not, also this video will be available after this webinar online in the YouTube channel, so you can have a look onto some details you might have missed or want to re-listen. I see Alexander has a
question. Hi, I have one question for Lauren. Let's say that I want to have and use a certain picture of one organism from iNaturalist. So my question is, what is the procedure to get this picture? What is about copyrights and to use it for non-profit purpose, let's say for publishing one book for education?
Yes, so that's also a very good question. So you have some default status when you register. first time on the platform, you are asked about the level of copyright you want to address to your observations, but you are able to change this at any time in your settings. And also an important part is maybe especially for photographers which also want to sell those pictures, you can give different you can give a more restrictive copyright to your picture, but a less restrictive copyright, or maybe none at all, to the data, because then the data will still be transmitted to GBIF, whereas the photo will not. So you are safe on that, and you can, on every picture you see on a Naturalist, you can see what kind of copyright it holds, and you are also because you have so many possibilities to filter, you can also specifically filter for those settings.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Lauren. You can also ask Lauren within this webinar more questions, or also send us an email to the ALPTREES project. We will try to follow up all everything that comes up related to this. As you know, you might find your answer also directly on the Naturalist tab. So thank you very, very much again for your talk and your assistance in use in Naturalist and presenting the City Nature Challenge, which takes place by end of this month. So we proceed to our next speaker, who will show us how we could create citizen science in Naturalist activity within schools. So Fabio Giacomatti prepared for us a presentation on the model of didactic activity based on the ALPTREES project. So Fabio, the floor is yours. And thank you very much for being here with us this afternoon.
Thank you, Caterina. I share my screen. Okay.
Yes, Silver.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. I propose an example of an educational path to be applied in schools participating in the ALPTREES project. The context of the example is particular. I choose as level an upper secondary school. The season is the season we are going to meet now, presentation by May, June, and project development from September. The duration from May to December, and the focus is obviously in the main topics of our ALPTREES project with the use of the app iNaturalist. What are the actors, the main players in addition to the classes? The teachers, obviously, they conduct the teaching activity. The experts of ALPTREES project, they bring specific knowledge on the main topic. Environmental educators, that is my job. They support teachers in planning and conducting the activity. And the testimonial, as Lauren, iNaturalist users who bring their experience. From the point of view of the proponents of the project, of the ALPTREES project, the goals of this activity: to promote ALPTREES project and its aims, to disseminate knowledge on non-native tree species, to disseminate the practice of citizen science, to obtain data useful for the implementation of the ALPTREES project, for example, distribution of species. And but there are also important didactic and educational impacts which mainly affect the school. For the school, it's important to acquire scientific knowledge on ALPTREES main topics, to acquire technical skills regarding the surveys in the field, and skills in the use of digital application for the scientific use, for example, a naturalist. But first of all, to be part of a European project based on the cooperation between different subjects and schools, with what follows in terms of empowerment, cooperative learning, European citizenship, and other. I propose some points of attention towards participating students. We have to ensure an informed participation. We have to take care of the motivational aspects. And the gratification during the training at the end of the training itself, and to transmit a cooperative and a collaborative approach. I think this is a very important goal. What is the initial approach to the didactic project? We have to share the aims, to know ALPTREES project, to motivate to participation, obviously within the group of teachers and within the class. For the teachers, at the beginning, it is important to some question. Why ALPTREES project? What is ALPTREES project and what are its objectives? Why to involve the schools? The questions, other question, what interest as a school class? For example, on a didactic level, I suppose link to the study plan, confrontation with scientists, comparison with other European realities, and other. In the class, the initial approach, we can stimulate the students to think about some aspects. What interest as a participant? For example, we can try to promote this type of situation, to study a little known phenomenon inherent to the environment around us, to be an active member of the scientific community by making a personal contribution to its growth. The example of a naturalist made from Lauren is very interesting and pointed. Studying outdoors in contact with natural phenomena and environments. Learn the scientific use of smartphones and apps. Participate in the project aimed to the future and therefore at the new generations. We suppose those are aspects which can interest our students, but they are all to discuss with them, obviously. The second step is to bring out the previous experiences and knowledge. It is very important to promote motivation. What previous experience do we have regarding the contents of the project? Have we participated in other European projects or similar? What kind of experience was it? And as concerns ALPTREES topics, do I know MNT spaces? Do I know of a problem generated by those spaces? Do I know of a positive impact of those spaces? But not only trees, and what about non-native animal species? It is very important to discuss these things with students because they connect to their precedent experiences. Then we can carry out a check on previous knowledge. For example, we can do a recognition quiz, for example, with a Google form, with statistic of the results, comparison of data within the class, and the final discussion. Then we have to, according to the specific characteristic of the school and the geographical area, we have to co-planning the project. The educational project can be the result of a co-planning activity between teachers, students, and any other support figures for the school, educators, scientists, and naturalist testimonials, defining specific aims of the project, working area, method, tools, and other. An example of activity. First step is the individual and the competitive summer phase. At school, let's learn how to use iNaturalist. Let's learn how to recognize plants of interest, training period. Let's create a summer challenge. During holidays, students do a challenge, competition to whoever detects the greatest number of species and or individuals, as suggested by Lauren. After holidays, at the beginning of the school year, we compare the results at the class level and all other participating schools. In fact, the second step is the collective and the cooperative autumn phase. Then, first a competitive phase, then a cooperative phase. Students share their experience at the service of the group. What method I applied? Which recognition tools? What new functions of iNaturalist I discovered during the holidays, etc. And then we developed the school together, teachers and students and testimonials. Concentration on the area of interest, possible subdivision of sub-areas among the students. Finally, the campaign of ground surveys. And then comparison and the correction of data. Data analysis based on the potential provided by iNaturalist, and the statistical processing. The possible continuation, it is only a suggestion. A final confrontation, remote comparison of data between schools and different geographical areas, and a discussion with the community of ALPTREES scientists. I ended my presentation.
Thank you very much, Fabio, for drafting how an activity could look like and what are the important questions to raise. If there are some questions to Fabio, please post them in the chat. Perhaps I have a question, whether you thought about the possibility to integrate also the option of identification into the teaching, the pedagogical concept of such an activity, because in Naturalist you can observe, but you can also identify species. So I just wanted to drop this idea that might be also possible to be integrated. If there is some more questions to Fabio, ask them or put them in the chat, as ever you feel more comfortable.
In the chat, I think it's better, so I can read the questions. Yes. Right. About your question, no, I think it's possible, and it's very interesting the use of a naturalist, because it gives a super normal power to the students, because it's difficult for them to identify species. Instead, with the possibility of iNaturalist, they can make observation as a scientist. So the community can help them, and this is very important. And observation that generally would be lost, instead become a interesting observation for the community, all the community. And it's very interesting for me, this cooperation, because it's a very important goal to make understand the students that is important, the challenge, the enjoyment, but is more important, the cooperative and collaborative method.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for framing pedagogical activities around in Naturalist. So whenever you feel you have another question, put them in the chat. Fabio, thank you very much for your presentation once again. You have a very nice way to present very complex things, and it was very easy to follow you. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Our next speaker is also a member of the ALPTREES project, and she will summarize several activities from other partners also, which are led by other partners within the entire Alpine space within our project. So welcome Daria Baric. She works for SORA. She's from Slovenia, and I'm very thankful that she will now present all those different activities where we have implemented eNaturalist. Maybe it's an example for you, for your own activity you want to plan in your project, in your region. So, hi Daria.
Hello.
And it's the floor is yours.
Hello. As Katerina said, I'm coming from Slovenia. We are a partner organization, development agency SORA from Slovenia. And I will just present shortly the planet school activities in the Alpine Space Project. We make it together, and thank you very much, Fabio, for a very pedagogical approach that will guide us, your guidelines for further activities. Now I'm trying to put it further, the presentation, but it's not going. Okay. To the school activities will join City of Klagenfurt together with University of Teacher Education. They will try to make mapping non-native tree species using together with the eNaturalist application that was just presented. It will take place at the lakeside, which is educational lab, which is also closely to the Natura 2000 European Conservation Area. The detail will be talked between the cooperative university. Then in Maribor in Slovenia, the project partner municipality of Maribor already developed the activity together with the students from University of Maribor, Faculty of Nature Science and Mathematics, Department of Biology. Together with the students, they already made the field study with the application of eNaturalist already during during this period. Then also in Gorinska region in Slovenia, we plan together with the high school students from secondary wood school to observe the nature and with the help with eNaturalist application. That's still in the talking how to implement the activity. And then we also in Italy, there will be activity going on with the students at the pilot action in the Susa Valley. That's the valley of city Turin in the Piedmont region. The pilot area will be located in the Union of Mountain Municipalities of Susa Valley. And together with students, there is a plan to observe the nature and involve citizen science with the following aims: to support the collection of data on non-native trees species, raise awareness about the issues of presence and management of non-native trees, to acquire technical skills regarding the surveys, and to acquire skills in the use of digital application that will be in Naturalist application, and to promote, of course, the ALPTREES project. That is what we plan now in this year to implement within the ALPTREES project. And I would thank also to ALPTREES project partners from City of Klagenfurt, Lamora Agency, Municipality of Maribor to prepare it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daria. You see, there's a lot going on in the ALPTREES project. And if you're interested in the one or the other activity, it's all on our homepage, on social media, and or simply write to one of us. You find all our contact details on the homepage. The person responsible for communication in our project is Petra Meisel, and she will close up this event, this webinar, by giving us an outlook on citizen science combined with ALPTREES and in general. So thank you, Petra, for joining us to the webinar and preparing the outlook for us.
Yeah, hello, Katharina. Do you hear me clearly?
Yes, I hear you clearly and I see your presentation.
Hello, my name is Petra Meisel. I'm responsible for the communication within the ALPTREES project. I hope you enjoyed the webinar so far. There was a lot of information about how to contribute to science and how to be part of the ALPTREES community on iNaturalist. I want to give you a short impression on the importance of your role as citizen scientists. We all can contribute to a vast variety of citizen science projects worldwide. So, oh, I have to, how can I, yeah, okay. You can deliver data about weather phenomena, and another project you can join is online tests and games to deliver data of your cognitive brain functions. Then there's another project in Halle an der Saale in Germany. Citizens are asked to send a copy of their ancestors' wedding certificate to help historians to investigate who was allowed or banned to marry whom in the 19th century in this region. And there's also a project where you send pictures of your street light situation by night to evaluate light pollution in your town and to empower the mayor and the policymakers to change the model of the lights and be financed by the government because of legal frameworks. That leads us back to the ALPTREES project and iNaturalist. So why are we collecting data with the help of iNaturalist? Why we need you? One task of the Interact project ALPTREES is to collect data of non-native tree species in forests and urban areas in the alpine space. Why? Our aim is to develop a guideline on how to use and manage non-native tree species, an obstacle that has never been tackled before. Foresters, forest owners, city planners, gardeners, producers of timber, so to say, all the stakeholders in the alpine space are experimenting with non-native trees, species that originate from warmer, drier regions that we now think are capable to help forests in the alpine space to adapt for climate change. The experiences of the stakeholders with non-native trees are not shared or communicated so far. Also, non-native tree species follow different legislations in each of our countries. So our work delivers the foundation for policymakers to make their decisions whether to use and how to use and manage non-native trees. The results will influence sectors like governmental fundings, valorizations, policies, and insurances. Your personal data collection helps to create legal frameworks, helps to create laws and obligations in your country. And we recently produced a podcast about citizen science. I will share the link later, where our colleague Martin de Groot of the Slovenian Forestry Institute in Slovenia runs one of the most potent citizen sciences platforms in Slovenia. It's called Invazuka. And Martin told us the following story. Every morning we get an email from the information system with the new records of observations of citizen scientists. There was a certain weed species in Slovenia that we did not consider invasive before we used the app in Vasuka. After a few months of using citizen scientists' data, we had to correct the distribution maps of this weed species significantly. It was so obvious that the alarm system we also installed went off, and we had the legal approval to go out and eradicate overpopulated areas. Areas we have not scanned in this quality before, thanks to citizen scientists' work. So in Austria, we count 4 billion trees, 65 tree species, and 4 million hectares of forests. Observations of native and non-native tree species could never be collected in this quantity and time by just a handful of scientists. It needs the public to help, and it needs every one of you. So I want to give you an outlook on our next activities concerning a naturalist. So as Lauren also presented before, there's the City Nature Challenge on April the 30th, the weekend, next weekend. There will be the training material on our website soon. This is our website, so here's the link to it. Please follow us also on social media. And the Citizen Science podcast can be listened to. It's 37 minutes time about everything we talked about with Helen Roy, Martin de Groot, Katrine Lapin, and Dimitri Shabachenko, who is hosting and organizing this venue today. So please enjoy using iNaturalist as much as possible and invite friends, colleagues, and family to join in as well. So help us grow from iNaturalist to We Naturalist. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Petra, for your closing words and very motivating words to participate in the ALPTREES citizen science activities and also in any other citizen science activities. So finally, we reached also the end of our webinar. If you still have some questions later on, please don't hesitate to contact us, or if you are not sure about how to use the app correctly, we will try to help you. And all the materials you saw, all the talks you saw will be available in the ALPTREES YouTube channel. So once again, thank you so much for being here with us in this afternoon on this webinar, and I wish you a nice rest of the week. And I hope to see you soon in any other occasion of the ALPTREES project or somewhere else. So thank you very much and have a nice afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Grazie.